Today, we're going to be talking about my journey through the assessment center. If today is your first time of joining us in the channel, you're welcome. Nice to meet you. And if you've been following us and you've been watching our previous videos, thank you so much. Can you use this time to just subscribe if you haven't and give us a thumbs up so that this video will reach the number of persons that it's expected to reach. Okay, so why are we talking about my journey through the assessment center? That's the UK Public Health Assessment Center. It's because it's important for people to know exactly what they need to do step by step. And you might learn one or two from my own experience. Why I don't say here that my experience is the ultimate, but some people might be like myself and they can learn one or two. So sit tight if that's you. All right. One of the things I want to talk about in this my journey through the assessment center is that I was really worried about the assessment center. Reason being that the assessment center is not something that is very familiar to my previous training. So going through medical training, or even having done postgraduate training, I didn't come I did not go through any of those things like psychometric test or situational judgment test, or even the last time I remember doing applied mathematics or logic was, I don't know, far back in maybe SS3, when you did something around further mathematics and did some quantitative things around year one. Uh, I think year one in medical school. Yeah, so there were things around logic, philosophy, and a bit of advanced mathematics. So, but outside that, there wasn't any of such opportunities again. You were either doing your basic medical training or you're doing your clinical training. So nothing like what we see in assessment center. Therefore, I was really worried because it was a bit remote or not familiar with what I'm used to. And like you already may know if you've watched my previous videos, that assessment center is like a screen. So they are using it to determine the candidates who move on to the next level of the recruitment, which is the interview stage or the selection center stage. Okay, so I was like, if I could go through the assessment center and successfully pass, then I didn't feel so much worried about the interview or the selection center because having been in the UK for some time, working in public health department, so I did have an experience of what goes on in the UK. And also, prior to even coming to the UK, I have also had some public health experience in Nigeria. So I could respond to some of those queries if they come in interview. So having known that, what did I do? So I sort of first of all planned out how long I was going to prepare for that. So I did give myself 6 months. So 6 months prior to the assessment center was when I started. However, if you watch my previous video, you find out that some of my colleagues have done less than 6 months. I even noted one of my colleagues who mentioned that they prepared for the assessment center within 2 weeks and were able to successfully pass the assessment center. So it all depends on how familiar you're with the components of assessment center. So for me, I didn't want to take any chances. I decided to do 6 months. And what did I do in those 6 months? I spent each of the days. So I had to make a timetable for each week. So I had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday that I spent 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. And I divided the three modules into the 6 days. That's Monday to Saturday. So if that's the case, so it meant that I was having the components of assessment center. So if you recall, it's situational judgment test, it's RANRA, and it's waxing glazer. So I made contact with those components 2 times a week. So in that 2 times a week, I would spend 1 hour in the morning before going for work. And when I come back in the evening before sleeping, I would spend another 1 hour. So that's 2 hours. And the next day, so for instance, if I was doing structural judgment tests on Monday, Tuesday will be round, Wednesday will be the other one, waxing glazer. So Monday and Thursday will be HATs. So it means that each week I spend 4 hours looking at those. So that was how I planned the timetable, and it worked. So that was just one component of the things I did, personal study. So the second thing I did was to form a discussion group. So there's this colleague of mine that was also preparing with me, and we sort of started early enough. So we started around June of that year when I did mine, and so we sort of also had um, that plan of. I think what we did was to plan to cover the components within 2 months, and in the next 1 month, so the third month, we do everything again and then come back again. So it was a robust timetable that you could begin to think that these guys, what they only had to do was to prepare for assessment center. They didn't have any other business because we're either chatting about it in between breaks or when we came back. So we had also times that we were doing those discussions. When we started, it was like 1 hour every of those nights. So if you include the 1 hour for the discussion to the 4 hours already, so it's more like I mean to the 2 hours per day, so it's 3 hours. So 1 hour 2 hours personal study and 1 hour discussion. So and what we did was to subscribe to one of the popular what's it called, modules, subscriptions that's out there. So I will leave that in the description. So if you check the description, you see the link to the 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 website. So we subscribed individually and kind of use that to prepare. And when we come back, we discussed the the principles, the findings, and I mean some of those things there we agreed, some we disagreed, and where there's a disagreement, we came back to ask ourselves. In fact, we also had to at times consult AI to see their opinions on some of the things that we were agreeing or disagreeing. So the point I'm trying to make is that it was like a full-time job within another full-time job. So we didn't allow it to stop our work, but we also created time for it. So that was how it happened. And when we did that, after the first 2 months, when we came back to the same materials again, and we found out that things were becoming familiar, things were becoming easier. I began to understand the terms and the principles, what they are trying to assess, what's the difference between this and that. And after a while, I began to notice patterns to some of the questions, such that if you find yourself in an exam condition, you will be able to respond appropriately because you've beforehand gone through those things and you understand what they want to ask. Okay, so that's about the preparation. Then coming to the process of writing the exam. So congratulations if you have submitted the application and you have been invited for the assessment center. There are stages that they will expect you to, things they will expect you to do. One of those will be to book your center. And when you book your center, remember, um, I think it's a first come, first serve basis. So if you book your center, you should be able to book somewhere that is closer to you. And when you book somewhere that's closer to you, it helps you in your planning and in your preparation. So you get emails to do that. As soon as you get that, please book. And some subsequent emails that will come will tell you exactly what they want you to do, when they want you to come, what they don't want you to bring, and the things, your identification. So those emails are laid out for you. And it's important to follow through all those because you don't want to come to assessment center and be turned back because you are not with the right ID card or you're not with the right information. So I think I give it to the planners because they were able to, the recruitment team, they were able to send very clear messages ahead of time for us to prepare. And during the assessment center itself, you're going to be doing all the components at JT. I think it starts with waxing glazer and goes to um, the RANRA. Then there's a 5 minute break before you do your situational judgment test. So one of the things I found out and I wouldn't want others to do is that some of the questions I said at the end, I was going to come back to respond to those, but there was never that time again to come back. So if you're like me, I think you should be able to respond at the same time. So don't delay. Don't say I will come back because there may not be time. And also, if you have some form of disability, there's a provision for reasonable adjustments. So if you do the right assessment and send that to the recruitment team, you're able to increase your time. So it might be 25 minutes, 25% extra time awarded to you. That time is very important. So if you've got some disability and that would affect your speed, please ensure that you report to the appropriate team for them to assess and award you more time. So after the assessment center, there was a period of I think 2 weeks or so before the results will come out. So I mean, those waiting period was the longest period because you don't know exactly how the results will look like, whether you'll be successful or not. And it's like a rate limiting step. If you don't get through the assessment center, you're not able to move on to the next level. So what something happened during our time. So um, it happened that there were some technical glitches. So when the result came out, some people were erroneously shortlisted because of system error, and everybody got emails saying that you, we are sorry that some people may have been mistakenly shortlisted, and those who could have been trusted were not because of that mistake. So it was retrieved. Can imagine that the anxiety and how people will be scared if they have received that they have been shortlisted. And also, even though you have crossed the pass mark for assessment center, that does not guarantee that you'll be invited for interview. So there were two categories of those who have crossed that that threshold. One is that you are shortlisted. So I think the first 250 something, and the other ones up to 700. So almost 700 plus past the cutoff point. However, they are not likely to interview 700. So they will invite the number they think they will interview, even though you have crossed the cutoff point. That does not guarantee you an interview. So what does that tell you? That you need to prepare such that you will be within the first 200 or 250, depending on the number they want to interview. Just get yourself in that. And how would you do that is to keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing. Use those materials. So there are a number of paid materials online there that you can subscribe. Use them and keep practicing and trying yourself. And until you think you're very comfortable that you're getting to the top 20% or even to the top 10%, keep trying. So that was what happened. And um, when the result came out, some of us went scaled through and were subsequently invited for interview. whereas there are some who were in shortlisted reserve, and there was no other opportunity for them to be invited because those who were shortlisted did not drop out. So it's possible that you could still be invited even if you're in shortlisted reserve because someone in the shortlisted numbers or cohorts dropped. Maybe they took up something else, another specialty. Yeah, so that's why there's that opportunity for some persons to be placed in shortlisted reserve. So those were the things that happened, and I can tell you that it's a very serious thing. I don't know if you've been through that. Some people have been through that multiple times. Some people it's just their first time of going in there, and you may have tried some of the things I talked about. You may have even done more. I think there's also that element of I don't know whether I would say luck and favor in that you're able to you're very fast and you tick the right things. Make sure that you're able to follow the instructions that they have asked you to follow. So, if you do have any specific questions to ask about my experience and what you can do, please do drop that in the comment section. And if you have any particular thing you want me to talk about in the assessment center, I'm also happy to do that. So do drop it in the comment section. I hope I've been able to address some of the challenges or the thoughts in your heart, how to prepare. Just to summarize all I said, I started early, but even if you are starting now, it's not late. You can still put in maximum effort and you find yourself very successful. I did personal preparation. The personal preparation was almost like 2 hours every day, morning and evening. It may work for you, it may not work for you. So you choose what is very convenient for you. I did some discussion every evening with my colleague for almost the 6 months period. So it was a lot of preparation. And I also went through all the components of the subscription I had. So I went through all of them, answered the question, went back again, answered them. Even the ones I've answered, I did them again. So it was not a question of did you try it once, multiple times, and I did all the simulations in that paid subscription. I did all of them. I also not just once, but multiple times, so that it was feeling very familiar in the exam. And I also prayed, I trusted God to help me. That's why I talked about the element of favor and luck. I also prayed and asked God to help me because it's possible that you put in all this effort and at the end of the day, your effort won't still pay back because there are really a lot of people going for it. So imagine over 1,700 plus going for the assessment center and they're just choosing around 250 for interview. So it's really a lot. But I felt it was worth the preparation and thankfully here we are. So thank you for listening to this video. And if you do have any video, any topic you want me to talk about in subsequent videos, you can drop that in the comment section. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye for now.